Hey guys, how you been? Long time, long time, long time. Come on in, come on in. See if you have any questions. Doing some Q&A. Give you a chance to come in, ask questions about um trucking, um, dispatching, freight brokering. What's the current state of the industry? What's going on with the tariffs? What's going on with freight movement? What's going on with shippers? What's going on with brokers? Warehousing, distribution, inventory management. Um, So, any questions you have for me? A few announcements about our upcoming 4th of July 25% off sale, as well as our mentorship week. We're offering in the month of July and beyond um, mentorship uh, program for on a monthly basis, month to month subscription. But we will mentor you um, in dispatching and trucking. If you someone with a trucking company, you're either just getting started or you are uh, developed along and you need some advice on trucking. You need to better your bottom line, understand your fuel costs, understand your miles, things like that. We offer mentorship on that. We connect you with our networks there. That's the trucking mentor piece. If you want the dispatching mentor, if you're a dispatch service, independent dispatcher, and you need some mentoring on that, uh, we offer that mentoring as well. And then also, if you are freight broker and you need some mentoring on that, I am working with a um, shipping company currently, helping them with their TMS onboarding. So I'm seeing it from the customer side too. So I have a little bit of involvement from the customer side. Bring my hand up here from the customer side down to the 3PL or what we call a freight broker, down to the dispatcher or down to the trucker, carrier, trucking company, and then down to the dispatcher. So we see it from all perspectives. How you doing, LaDonna? Hello, hello. We type that in there. So, but I'm here now, just a little bit of time to answer some questions. So go ahead and shoot your questions. Any Q&A. So questions for me. Any questions you think that you may have that may assist you. This is from everyone listening on the YouTube channel, and I think I'm uh, live on Facebook as well. I'm not sure if I did that correctly, but anyway, um, any specific questions you may have that you may need answered. Somebody you may have asked someone a particular question that did not get answered. One concern that's going on is double brokering and broker fraud. Good afternoon, um, Dwayne Johnson. How are you? Do you have a question, Dwayne Johnson? And if you are in here, go ahead and hit your thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up. Uh, Ladonna says, "Don't be shy. Don't be shy. All go ahead and although your questions, or go ahead and ask your questions regarding the trucking industry. Yes, any question regarding not only the trucking industry, but the transportation and logistics industry. So, any questions regarding the whole supply chain, we can uh, see if we can give you a little bit clarity. Because if you're going to get involved in this industry, it would be wise to network with people who are in it, right? And who may be able to push you in the right direction. So, Dwayne, what do you do? Are you a carrier, Dwayne? Are you in logistics or transportation? In what capacity are you in the transportation industry? This is for Dwayne Johnson. What capacity are you in transportation? Are you a dispatcher? Okay. What kind of carriers are you dispatching for? What kind of equipment type, I should say, like drive-in, flatbed, reefer, and also where are you based out of? Matter of fact, those who are listening in right now, type in the chat what city and state you're out of. I'll put mine in here. I'm in the uh, Chesapeake, Virginia area, 7 cities, the 757. Type where you're from, represent where you're from. Type the city and state that you're in, and where you're located. And we can give a shout out to your St. Louis 314, San Antonio, Texas. Very good. Texas is real big out there. They do it big in Texas, right? That's what they say, Yvonne. They do it big in Texas. Um, you got hot shots, you got drive-ins, reefers, flatbeds. You got brokers. You can broker freight out of Texas. There's a bunch of suppliers out there, a bunch of customers out there that you can become a 3PL. So hot shot and drive-in. I'm about to take a power only Louisiana. Yes, but having trouble getting even one driver. So okay, so let me get to Dwayne's first. So Dwayne, you're doing hot shot and drive-in, and you're out of Louisiana, about to get a power only, take on a power only as well. So man, you got a mixture there. One's a hot shot, one's a hot shot's in the flatbed category, and then because it's a dually with a flatbed trailer, and then the drive-in, of course, is the 53-foot drive-in trailer with a power unit attached to it, and then you have the power only with no trailer. And you're in the Louisiana area, which is the Panhandle area down there, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, Georgia area, Panhandle. Okay, so you shouldn't have trouble with the drive-in one if you keep your hot shot running in, let's see, probably towards Texas, Dwayne. You should be fine with the hot shot. Have them run back and forth to Texas. And then Yvonne said you're having trouble even getting the one driver. So what systems do you have in place, Yvonne, when it comes to your back end, your back office infrastructure? Do you have all your documents together? Is your business created already? Everything's set up for you from your perspective, from a business standpoint. Do you have your contracts, your agreement, your dispatcher agreement, your carrier profile, limited power of attorney? So if I was, in other words, if I was a truck driver and you had a conversation with me, you saw me at a truck stop or a fuel pump station or whatever, and we had a conversation, and I told you I was a carrier and I was looking for a dispatcher, would you be prepared to take on me as a um, person? Oh, so honestly, I gave up. I do have my LLC. I have contracts and all what you mentioned. Wow. Okay. So I'm sorry you gave up. Hopefully you'll decide to come back in. It only takes that one carrier to give you an opportunity to to use them, right? To dispatch for them. If you were to dispatch for a truck driver, carrier, owner, operator, um, which equipment types would you prefer to dispatch, right? Oftentimes, we here at the Exodus Logistics Learning Center training, Dispatcher 101, um, say dispatch the larger equipment types, the drive-ins, the flatbeds, and the reefers. So, um, what made you give up? LaDonna asked that question. What made you give up? Yeah. And Dwayne is giving some advice too to Yvonne. I got my first drivers from advertising on Facebook and standing at truck stops, passing out flyers. So yeah, so there's various ways. I'm not sure what you did, Yvonne, or what you did not do to try to get the carriers. But some of us here now are commenting on some things that worked for them or for us, right? So truck stops. Now I don't advise women to be at the truck stops alone, particularly at night. Um, Social media is becoming very popular these days. So the Facebook groups, the Instagram, the TikToks, and things like that. You just gotta properly monitor those things. And then now I'm starting to see that carriers are going to be needing dispatchers or someone to help them with loads pretty soon. She says, I couldn't get a driver. I don't know what I did wrong. I went to the local truck stops and made goodie bags and had the paperwork in hand, and I'm in social media. So, so yeah, so it just, that's a tough one. I would say try to give it another shot. So yeah, women shouldn't be alone at a truck stop because you got some strange individuals who try to take advantage of certain situations. One of which being women being alone. So yeah, I also cold call from the FMCSA new driver listing. Now we have a person who's good at that aspect of trying to get carriers a cold calling piece. Her name is Chasa Donald. Um, she has a cold calling session and a Facebook group. Legacy Dispatchers. Let me put that in the chat. Legacy Dispatchers. If you look her up on Facebook, Instagram, I think she has a TikTok. I'm not sure, but yeah. So I'm not sure about that, but she does the cold calling, and she actually calls the carrier. I used to do that years ago, but yeah, she cold calls the carriers and then has a conversation with them in a way that you, the person, the listener, can see uh, what to say and how to say it. Okay, so hey, this is Charles with Exodus Dispatching and Training. Uh, just trying to see if you're under load, looking for a load. If you need help with finding freight, how consistent do you run? What do you look for cents per mile? Things like that. So, um, I need to get back into class. Yours. Thought about attending your in-person class. I'm motivated. Just need to get back on track. Thank you so much. So, our in-person trainings, we need to get enough signups. We don't have enough signups, but we do. We still have our live trainings on Zoom. That's not going away anytime soon. The in-person trainings, we have to work up enough people to attend to be able to be motivated to have those classes. There's no point in having like one or two people come in person. We've done that before, but we figure it from a bottom line cost uh, perspective, it doesn't benefit the Exodus Logistics Learning Center. But we still had them because the person, they paid their hard-earned money, they traveled to our location, so we still had the training, and they pretty much spent most of the time with my wife. It was some female individuals who came in for the trainings. So yeah. Any other questions or any questions? Trying to see if we can um, help Yvonne. So yeah, and everyone's giving Yvonne. So the thing that I like about this platform that we have is that we try to help one another, right? If we see things that helped us that someone else is struggling in, then we give them advice and tell them which way to go with it. So I love that about this group or this Facebook group, the YouTube channel, our members in our course. We try to uplift one another and keep everyone motivated. Even when you do have a carrier and someone's dispatching their carriers pretty well of the same equipment type, we can advise the other person, hey, maybe you should do it this way or do it that way. So, um, Yvonne says, I'm also taking a supply chain management class. And yes, I appreciate everyone's encouragement. So, with the supply chain, are you learning the hierarchy of the supply chain? Are you learning about procurement? Are you learning about the transportation piece, logistics? What aspects in supply chain are you focusing on? Or is it a general high level overview of supply chain? That'd be a good question I would want to answer from you, Yvonne, if you can. Okay, so she's focusing on the logistics piece. So, do you know the hierarchy or the steps or the chain in the supply chain? Because each chain, there's different links. So, logistics, transportation, right? So, logistics is how things, once, let's say, for example, there's a customer purchase order, right, in the supply chain. It has to go through a certain thing, procurement, things like that. And then it gets down to the logistics piece. Well, how do we find the raw materials or the supplies to create this truckload? Once we create this truckload, then who handles the transportation segment of it? So that's where you are right now, transportation segment. So, and there's steps in that hierarchy. So you're taking an SCM course. I'm not sure how long the class is, but SCM is supply chain management. So if you need assistance with that and you have questions with that too, I can help you with that. Right. So, okay. Let me see if I can share my screen and entire screen or a certain window. Let me see if I can share my. Stop that sharing there. Let me try it again. Someone's asked, Yvonne, do you have Facebook and Instagram? I always refer box trucks to other dispatchers. Okay, so let's go here. Let's go there. Okay, so hopefully you guys see my screen of the website. Um, and I am going into, so we're talking about dispatch questions. We haven't even gotten into freight broker questions, but I was going to go into a little bit of the mentorship. So part of the mentorship could be answering some of those questions that you may have as well. And this is for those listening on the channel, right? Live on the YouTube channel. We have some 30 something members. So, we do mentorship. We're starting mentorship in July in dispatching. You just click the button of the type of mentorship you want, dispatch, freight broker, trucking, right? So, and we offer, you can easily read. Matter of fact, I can copy this link and paste it right here now into this chat right here so that you guys can have it. Okay. There. And it said they couldn't see the screen. So it's not up, it's not up, it's not up. Let's go back and see. Let me try to share it again. Let me see. One more chance right there. Chrome, the window, the entire screen. Which tab do I want to share? I'm terrible at this technology here, but I'll get it right at some point. So I'll come back. So at any rate, okay. I did put the link down to the mentorship page where you have the option. Yes, it should be shareable. See if you can. I think I turned it on, Dwayne, but if not, let me know. I thought I made it shareable. So a little bit more Q&A. So most of your questions now uh, that you have is about dispatching. Is there anyone in here who may have a trucking company, looking to start a trucking company and want some information about that? Or is there anyone in here who uh, has an interest in being a 3PL or what we commonly refer to as a freight broker? So, um, yeah, the share. I'm looking at the share button right here now. Let me see, share. I share on different platforms, Facebook, blah, 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 blah. I'm looking at share, 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 share. Video link, share. Let me, okay. We copy the link, close the clipboard, and then we put the link, get out of the chat. It's there. Okay, there we go. There, you got it? Okay, he got it. Good. That's good. Good, good, good. Share is there. So yeah. So you can share with others so they can come in and ask more questions. Cause I found some time, which I rarely do, to come on a live to, you know, add value for you guys, see where you are. Because sometimes, although I'm transparent and you can get a hold of me, sometimes I'm not able to respond to your questions until maybe a little bit later in the evening or the next day. So, but again, I'll circle back to my original question. Q&A in dispatching. We had Yvonne who had her question about dispatching in carriers and having a hard time. I think we kind of helped her a little bit with that. Uh, I was asking also about trucking. Anyone who may be in here listening on the channel may have an interest in starting a trucking company, may already have one and maybe having issues. Uh, and then is there anyone in here who's interested in doing a 3PL, third party logistics, or what we call a freight broker, someone who arranges for the transportation of freight? What's all the steps involved in that? What's the profitability of that? How do we get customers? What are the requirements, right? So if you're interested in that, now I do have a freight broker channel. This is the YouTube's dispatcher channel, but I'm spreading out the Q&A for other things too. So thank you for smashing the thumbs up. That's very good. That helps the algorithm, which I have no idea what that means, but anyway, um, I think it's dealing with stats and things like that to make your channel more popular. So, what else? What else? Trucking, dispatchery, freight brokering, and then Yvonne mentioned supply chain, so logistics. So, what's all involved in that? You know, logistics. Now, how long is your program? Your class for SCM, supply chain management, and this is to Yvonne. Is it like a 2 week course? Is it a? It can't be a 2 week course. It got to be maybe a 8 week or 12 week course. So, how long is your curriculum? Do you have a syllabus? Oh, it's a bachelor program. So you're going to get a bachelor's degree in supply chain management. So that's a 4 year program. So you're going to learn about. So if that's the case, then being a dispatcher, I don't want to say you're doing yourself a disservice, but you'll be better served working with shippers, working with customers, or you'll be better served working as a freight broker or a freight broker agent if you come in with a bachelor's degree in supply chain management, because now you understand, you're looking at it from the customer side. So because that's what the supply chain does, is it's logistics and it's transportation, but it's from a customer's perspective. And you say you eventually want to do broker. So yes, that will, so still stick with dispatching because that's going to transition you into brokering, because as a dispatcher, you're going to talk to a carrier. As a dispatcher, you're going to also talk to brokers. So when you transition into a broker, the transition will be a little bit easier because you have the experience. So, um, yes, but as a dispatcher, I need to work and to familiarize myself. Exactly. You want to, so dispatching is the easiest entry point into logistics and transportation. It doesn't require a license, like an authority, if you will, not a license, but an authority, as a brokerage does, um, and all those other stipulations like a broker do. It's easier to get into this industry as a dispatcher. As a freight broker, you're required to have all these other things: your broker authority or broker license, the bond, and all these other requirements. So, Dwayne says, Charles, your thoughts? I'm thinking of getting my own authority. I would like to start picking up lease on owner operator. So, Dwayne, you want to get your authority as an owner operator, or you're speaking about an owner operator authority, a motor carrier authority, or a broker authority? There, because the authority types, I'll need you to differentiate that if you don't mind. Well, I guess once you said I would like start picking up lease on owner operator. So you're trying to be a owner, you're trying to be a motor carrier with your own authority, and then lease owner operators under your motor carrier authority as a trucking company, your MC authority as a truck, a carrier, trucking company, not a broker, but as a carrier. That's what you're saying, Dwayne, correct? And LaDonna asked a great question. How long have you been, and this is for Dwayne, in the transportation industry? How long have you been involved? And In what capacity have you been involved in the transportation industry? How long have you been, and in what capacity? Like, have you been an owner operator? Have you been a company driver? So you've only been dispatching in the transportation industry. You haven't done anything else. Have you driven a truck? Have you been a company driver? So dispatching 2 years. That's it. Dispatching 2 years. Okay. When you have a moment, can you post a schedule of your Zoom and live Q&A, please? So our last calendar, okay, Dwayne says no driving experience. I have to post for July our Zoom schedule. The schedule that I'm posting for Zoom, if I was to post one now, it would be June, and June is pretty much over with. I have to put together the July calendar, and I put it out every month on the website. So if you go to the website under the Zoom calendar, which I'm going now for, and is this Yvonne? Do you want it for dispatching or freight brokering or both? And let me answer that question. I'll just put it for both. So dispatcher, Zoom at, okay, that's the dispatcher Zoom. Do you want it for freight brokering too? Because you're mainly dispatching, right? You're not brokering yet. So I just put the calendar down for the link I put for the Zoom calendar will always be the location of the Zoom calendar for dispatch training, or if I do it for freight brokering, it will always be the location for the freight brokering calendar. Okay. It's just that now I haven't put that calendar for July up yet. I haven't posted it up yet. I will do that in a day or so because it's still June. We just finished up our 4th week of training. We have Zoom calls every 2nd and 4th week of each month. Okay. For the dispatchers, they're Sundays at 11 a.m. Eastern, Wednesdays at 6 p.m., and Saturdays at 12 noon. And I post them up with the time and the Zoom link, the meeting ID, the passcode. Okay. So what else? What else? What else do we have? Anyone else with questions? Here I am. We've been here 27 minutes and 52, 53, 50. So approaching 30 minutes. So there has to be some more in-depth kind of questions that you guys probably want to ask, whether it's about the dispatching, your path along that, your workflow diagram, if you will, your processes, or the process, I should say. So yeah. Okay. So I'm looking at the chat to see if there's any questions. I see the dialogue going on between LaDonna and Dwayne and Yvonne, but yeah, what Dwayne is doing, power only, and trying to get his authority and leasing people on this. The issue with that, now that I'm thinking about it, the issue with leasing carriers under your authority or individuals under your authority, owner operators, is you got to be careful because you have to vet these individuals, right? Because they can do something at some point that can suspend or put your um, authority out of service. And now you're not able to make money because of the behavior of someone that you trusted to come up under your authority. So have systems in place, have what's the word I'm looking for? Have SOPs, standard operating procedures in place for your company when you're dealing with bringing on and onboarding or leasing on owner operators under your authority. Have those things in place so that when something happens, you'll be able to handle it in a timely manner, and it won't affect your authority. Because without an operating authority, you're unable to pick up loads from either brokers or uh, direct customers. Dwayne said, Charles, that is the part that bothers me. Definitely has its pros and cons with leasing one's authority. Yeah, the part that bothers you is releasing trust to someone else who is a motor carrier that you haven't had an experience with to see if they can run under your authority without you worrying about them doing something that can put your authority in jeopardy. That is the issue with drivers and vetting drivers, right? So, what do you do to combat that? How do you handle that, right? How long do you have them run? Let's say you have them run for you as a company driver before you lease them on to your authority to add their truck and trailers to your insurance, as opposed to having them drive one of your equipment types and run under you as uh, a W-2 employee before you make them a 1099 independent contractor. So those types of questions that uh, need to be asked and answered, right? Now, you may come across people that you know that are good people and you give them the opportunity, great, right? But yeah, it's a that's a tough one there, right? That's a tough one. You gotta be able to open up that level of trust if you're going to be doing the lease on um, process of getting an authority or having someone run under your authority. Okay. What else? What else? What else? 31 minutes. Not bad. Uh, the state of the industry now with the tariffs, a tariff. So a tariff is our taxes that are imposed on imports coming into the country, right? The government has decided a certain tariff amount based off of the commodity, based off of the weight, based off of where it's coming in from, based off of where it's going. The tariff amount is determined, right? And each tariff amount varies based off of those different factors. There's not one set tariff rate. There is a tariff range, if you will. And another word for tariff is duty, D-U-T-Y, right? D-U-T-Y, duty or tariff, tariff. So, and these are taxes imposed on um, import. This is one aspect of how the government makes money, and the tariff situation is governed by, well, not necessarily them, but they have a say in it when uh, products come into the country to clear customs. So CBP stands for Customs Border Protection. They guard our borders and regulate what comes into and leaves out of, so import and export uh, the country, right? And then you have individuals who have an indirect or I guess a direct involvement in that process. They're called customs brokers. They deal with the paperwork and trying to get stuff cleared through customs. There's another group, individuals, that helps with the procurement and the ordering of the freight when they do what's called a booking. They're called freight forwarders. They forward, they send an invoice, they send a packing list, they do what's called a booking. To if you got some goods that you want to ship from a foreign country and have it imported into this country, then you have to use a freight forwarder to communicate from domestically to with another freight forwarder in the foreign country, and they communicate, they talk to each other, and they do what's called a booking. That an invoice has to be paid for that those goods coming over. The goods have to come from the manufacturing plant or distribution center in the foreign country, shipped to the uh, dock or the port if it's leaving out on a steamship line on a vessel, or an air cargo uh, what is that, air cargo depot or hub if it's leaving air cargo. So international freight ships either by rail, uh, ocean, or air. The most common one is ocean. So we'll stick with the ocean example. So the manufactured products, the finished goods from the foreign country leaves their foreign manufacturing plant and gets drayed intermodally, drayage, which means taken from their uh, plant to their exporting port. And it has to clear its custom. It has to clear customs at the exported port. So whatever country it is, and whatever border protection process they have over there, it has to clear customs there. Then it gets on the particular steamship line, OOCL, Hapag-Lloyd, Maersk, any of those major ones. There's like 30 of them, top 30. Then it gets loaded into a container first of all at the um, manufacturing facility or the distribution center where it's going to be shipped out, exported. It gets on a container. Then that container gets loaded on a chassis of a tractor trailer or a tractor, power only, gets drayed to the um, origin port. That's going to leave out the origin port, which is the foreign country. Origin port gets loaded on the steamship line, whatever steamship line is used, and gets out. It clears customs, and then it sails over to the U.S. to be imported. So it's exported from the foreign country, then it's imported into this country. Before it gets to this country, let's say 14 days, the freight forwarder is made aware of it. Okay. And provisions are made with the Customs Border Protection and the customs broker to prepare for that product to be imported or brought in and clear customs to get into this country. Once it clears customs, that container is offloaded off that steamship vessel in our country domestically now, loaded onto a chassis in our country by a dredge carrier and shipped to its last mile destination or distribution center. So drayed is that the spelling. So drayage right there, or you could say drayed, but that is the process whereby a power only owner operator grabs a chassis, which is a bare bone trailer, to put a container on, right? To ship that container from the port to a distribution center or last mile destination. That is a process called drayage. Now, in the grand scheme of things, when you ship goods, when goods come from overseas, either by air, by rail, or by ocean line, steamship line, and it goes from that's one mode of transportation, the air, the rail, or the ship. When it gets to the port and gets on the chassis of that trailer, right, and gets drayed or shipped by the truck to its last mile destination, it went from one mode of transportation to another mode of transportation. When it does that, that process is called an intermodal process. So when you hear the term intermodal, it's going from one mode of transportation. It's the same shipment getting from international to domestic, and it's going through different modes of transportation, right? So when it gets from the ship to the chassis and then and transported by the truck to its last mile destination, again, that is an intermodal process. Okay, and the drayage carrier or drayman just is the person on the last mile segment of that intermodal process. Is the drayage person with the power only unit and the chassis that has the container on it. Okay. Dwayne said, "What about U.S. to Canada and back?" That is an international process because the U.S. borders two international countries: Canada to the north, and Mexico to the south. So the same thing holds true. You have to clear customs. So with the U.S. and Canada, uh, you can do rail. You can do the rail lines because the rail lines go into Canada, the rail lines go into Mexico. Okay, there are rail lines. Now remember the rail companies or the rail lines, for lack of a better word, you have Norfolk Southern, which used to be here, Norfolk, Virginia, Norfolk Southern, but they moved their headquarters down to Atlanta now. Norfolk Southern on the east, and you have Union Pacific on the east, I believe. And then you have CSX, right? Let me type these in. NSF, which is Norfolk Southern, CSX, UP, which is Union Pacific, BNSF. These are rail lines, the rail carts, whether they're single or stacked up, right? So BNSF, they merged. There used to be, so BNSF stands for Burlington Northern Santa Fe. That's out west, Santa Fe, Mexico. Burlington Northern merged with Santa Fe to form BNSF. Now you have some middle hub, like in Chicago and Kansas City, rail lines like what is it, KCX, Kansas City, the rail line, the component, and then you have some ones down toward the south by Mexico, and ones in the north. Canada has their own lines that's going to intersect with the U.S. line. So that's another. That's the rail segment. That's a whole different training, right? It's a whole different segment, right? But we're just talking about the intermodal, one shipment getting from a foreign location to a domestic location through different modes of transportation. One shipment. So we're talking about the intermodal process there. Okay. So if you're interested in that, if you want to get involved in intermodal, you probably will get involved with it from a dispatcher's perspective, is to dispatch a truck or an owner operator who has a power only unit. You know what a power only, just that's the tractor. And they will go to the port of origin or the port of destination. It could be the same port depending on how you look at it. If you're going to pick up something coming from out of the country, then it's a port of destination. It's being imported. But if you're exporting something and you're taking it to that port, then it's a port of departure, or so it's an origin port. It's an origin port if you're exporting. It's a destination port if something is being imported into the country, and it's the same port. You see, depends on how you look at the situation. So, but I didn't mean to blab too much about intermodal and drayage and drayman and stuff like that. Um, but Q&A. I just wanted to see if you had any questions, guys. Hopefully that wasn't uh, too boring, right? No questions. So the transportation industry and logistics, there are several segments of it, right? You could be a customs broker, you can be a freight forwarder, you can be a motor carrier, you can be a dispatcher, you can get involved in it from the mental aspect of it, the functional aspect as well as the technical aspect. You can be like Yvonne is with the bachelor degree program in supply chain management, SCM. So it's a whole lot of things you can be involved in it with, for that reason. So there's several. So, and the reason I say that is because if you're not doing well in one segment of logistics and transportation, why not pivot to another segment? You just have to understand what the segments are and the opportunities that exist in those segments. So, yeah. Yeah, bring your pen and paper because, I guess I'm somewhat long-winded, but hopefully I'm able to answer your questions. So, all the more reason to consider mentorship. You think you're getting a lot here on this live training. Imagine if you were to take one of our mentorships on a monthly basis, the network of people that I connect you with, you know. So if you're doing it from a dispatchers, I will connect you with our dispatching groups, networks, people, like-minded people who will be able to give you put you onto the learning curve of what to expect and what not to expect, what to expect and what to avoid, right? If you are someone who's getting the broker mentorship, one of the best brokers that I know is one of my students. So, matter of fact, I just onboarded him with the shipper that I'm contracted with to for his 3PL that he works with. Without saying too much, but yeah. And we send him along with the other 3PLs, but we send it to him first, and then we send emails to the other ones. Quotes, rate quotes. Just give us a rate quote. See if you can beat what we're going to send to the other 3PLs, and if you can, we will tender the freight to you or give you the freight. So, so everything I'm saying right there, you may not know, but if you're into brokering, once you hear me say, you're like, oh yeah, I know what that means because the verbiage, right? Or if you're in the trucking piece, I can connect you with some of my trucking. One of my colleagues has a fleet of trucks, flatbeds and step decks, and been doing it for a number of years. So, and then one of my mentors, and going back to the brokering part, one of my mentors who taught me about the brokering side has been brokering for 38 years, and then one of my mentors on the trucking side, Mr. Nelson, who's actually in Africa working on some transportation stuff. Um, has been in transportation for over 30 plus years and now is brokering as well, switchback GY6. So if there's a question that I can't answer, I'll bet the farm and guarantee that they can. So if you're connected with someone who's connected with someone or others that can help you, you just have to leverage and understand. First of all, you have to know where you are in order to know where you're going, right? So, and my job is to kind of help you with that. Decide what you want to do in this industry, logistics and transportation, how you want to do it, what is your career path, not only career path, but life journey in this, if you're going to be in this ecosystem that we call logistics and transportation. So, all right. So we have chatter going with Yvonne, Dwayne, and LaDonna. So we do not gatekeep over here. No, we do not. Like that's a great. So what is for those who do know or don't know, what is a gatekeeper, right? Define gatekeeper, right? It's mostly the term is heard in the freight brokering space when you're trying to call a customer to get their business, right? To be able to get shipments and loads for them. Oh, excuse me, I'm tired. But that's what a gatekeeper is, like a secretary. You'll call a brokerage, you'll look them up and uh, call them and begin to do your script with them, right? Hey, this is such and such with ABC Freight Brokerage. I'm just looking to talk to you about being your logistics provider. If you have a need for moving some of your goods, your freight, we can probably offer you the best rates. Just tell us what your lanes are and then go from there, right? Well, you're not talking to the actual person who's in charge of logistics and the decision maker. You're talking to someone, maybe their secretary, who's been told to, divert or deflect these people that's going to be calling, trying to talk to me, deflect them somewhere else. That is the definition of a gatekeeper, someone who's in the way, who prevents you from getting to the person that you need to get to and speak to, like a secretary or receptionist at an office setting. So that's what a gatekeeper. Okay. Right. Any questions? We've been here, man, 49 minutes. I didn't expect to do an hour, but if we do an hour, that's fine. And any other questions? Man, I'm surprised there's not a lot more questions. We got some 30 something people on the channel, but not everybody's tuned in right now at 3:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or whatever time zone you're in. If you're on the Central Time, it's 2:05. If you're on Mountain Time, it's 1:05, and Pacific Time, it's 12:05. So um, I'm going to. Yvonne made a good point there, or statement. She said, "This has been very informative. I look forward to the next live. How often will I have live trainings or live just coming on live? I guess that's a good. question. Securing government contracts. Great question. Question. And it's 4 question marks. So I'm assuming you're asking a question on how to do that or what's that about, right, Dwayne? Securing government contracts, right? So what are the steps, right? Well, first of all, what what business or what company are you going to try to secure your government contracts in? Is it going to be in transportation? Is it going to be in another sector, another subject matter? Maybe not transportation, logistics. What company? You have to have your business formed first and established. Your business license, your LLC, EIN, things like that. Because if you're going to get a government contract, they want to give it to an established business, not an individual. Okay. So Dwayne says transportation. Okay. So let's say you're in transportation. Now, what are you doing in transportation? Because with the government, you have to show them that you have certain prior skills, certain current capabilities, and differentiators, meaning that what would separate you from someone else who has a like business like yours trying to get a government contract. So all those things, literally just now, what I just said would be on a piece of paper called a capability statement. Okay. And I will send you the link to mine. Go to my capability statement from my website so that you can take a gander at what that looks like. And I'm surprised I'm not able to share the screen so you can like literally see it. I'm doing something wrong. So let me go to share again, try one more time before I get into uh, share the Chrome tab, capability statement. All right. Okay, there we go. So can you can see the screen now. We're doing it right now, right? Everybody see the screen? Hopefully. Someone let me know see the screen before I move forward. Okay, yes. So I'm gonna be moving around. I'm moving the cursor while I'm talking, right? So okay, so yeah, someone mentioned Apex in your state. Apex is the new name for the PTAC person, the Procurement Training Assistance Center specialist that does that helps you. They do that voluntarily because the government sources that organization with funds so they can afford to do it. So this is the Exodus Logistics Learning Center's capability statement. It's like a resume for the government telling them what I can do and what my core competencies are right there, which means what I primarily, if I'm going to get a contract with you guys and you put out a solicitation to me, these are my core competency. This is what I'm competent in, my core skills, right? That has to be on your capability statement. This is a template you can follow. My past performances, what I've done over the past that qualifies me for it. My differentiators, like I said earlier, what makes you, what separates you from other people who are in the same industry as you trying to get a government contract? What makes you different? What's your differentiator? Then your company data, and then your company information, and then your NAICS codes and NIGP codes. I'll explain that in a second. Before I get into that, let me get into explaining uh, the concept of government contracts. So form your company, something transportation, something logistics, LLC, EIN, right? Then you want to go to you need to register and let the government know that you are interested in bidding or going after um, proposals and solicitations for them. Requests for proposals, RFPs, requests for quotes, RFQs, requests for information, RFIs, and then quick quotes, QQs, right? These are the different types of solicitations that the government put out either on the federal level or on the state level for companies to bid on or quote, right? And we are the suppliers. The people who are going after the government are the suppliers in the process. The government, whether the federal or state side, they are the buyers. They buy either our products or our services, right? And with us, it's going to be, you're not selling a product, you're selling a service. You're either dispatching, brokering, trucking, whatever it is. That's a service, right? So it's either, that explains the PSC codes, product service codes in there. I'm getting a little ahead, but let me come back a little bit. To make yourself known and visible to the government, you have to register on a website. SAM.gov. Systems for Awards Management. SAM.gov. That's the first step you have to do. Systems for Awards Management. That's what SAM stands for. Systems for Awards Management. You have to register as an entity. You have to put your information in there and so on and so forth, right? So everybody with me so far there. So I want to, and who does not know about this? Is this like, this is something new? I know Dwayne probably doesn't because he asked the question, but does everyone else kind of, I know LaDonna's kind of familiar with it, right? So SAM.gov, Systems for Awards Management, right? So let me put that link in the chat. Once you register with SAM.gov, you will receive an identifying number, and it's unique. That's what it's called, a UEI, Unique Entity Identifier. That's the name, right? So if I change it back to my, website, right here, my UEI, according to my capability statement, and it's a random number that's issued to you after you register with SAM.gov. My unique, right there, it's a 12-digit alphanumeric number. Let me enlarge this screen right here so you guys can kind of see it. Okay. So a little bit larger. You can see it now, right? UEI, Unique Entity Identifier. So gone away with the government, what goes away are the DUNS numbers. DMB number, the DUNS number. It's changed to Unique Entity Identifier because everyone who registers with the government to bid on freight and solicitations is called an entity now. They're defined by their entity identifying number, and they're all unique. Every person on here has a different number that's unique. No number is the same. That's why it's 12 alphanumeric digits. In other words, alphanumeric means it's a combination of letters and numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, as you can see, right? It's 12 alphanumeric numbers. That's to let the government know, hey, this unique entity identifier defines my company, defines me. And then you'll also receive what's called a CAGE code, CAGE, Commercial and Government Entity. That's what CAGE stands for. It is an acronym. Okay. Let me enlarge that a little bit more so you can see that. Can everybody see that screen? I enlarged there. Okay. CAGE code, Commercial and Government. This is how this number identifies your company when it's time to pay you for your services, not your product, because you're not selling a product, you are selling a service in transportation. You could be selling a product, but in this case, you're not. Okay. So everybody sees the CAGE code. Dwayne says, Charles, as a dispatcher, I never tapped into government contracts, as well as I never dispatched a load to Mexico or Canada. This is great information. Okay, good. I'm glad you're here. You can tap into as a dispatcher, you can tap into government contracts by leveraging your carrier who may be set up with SAM.gov and be able to pick up and transport government freight to and from Canada and the US. That's the way you can leverage it. Or you can use your dispatch company to be a primary contractor and then sub the work out, subcontract it out to a carrier. Because once you win a contract with the government, you are considered the primary contractor. You're the prime in that example. But you can sub out as a prime, you can sub the work out. Okay. So just keep that in mind. So you have to be careful with that. If you're a dispatcher and you're trying to be the prime on the government, make sure you put in your capability statement what you can and cannot do. Because you being the prime, you are primarily responsible for the contract. If you say you can do this and you then you're obligated to fulfill what you say you can do. And if you can't, and if you don't have the ability to sub it out to someone who can, chances are you may lose the contract, which is not a good thing in the eyes of the government, right? So remember with SAM.gov, there is the UEI, your unique entity identifier, introducing yourself to the government saying, hey, this is who I am. Here's my number. It represents my company. Because when I registered with SAM.gov, that's what I did. And then your cage code, once your registration got accepted by the government, you were issued a cage code to identify your company for payment in order for you to get paid. Okay. Now you have the federal side and you have the state side. Now let's get into the different codes so your company can be identified. The purpose of these codes is for the government to be able to look you up based off the codes, to be able to recognize who you are, to easily find you, in other words. Everybody understand that. Your code identifies you so that you can easily be found based off of the subject matter of the code. So these codes are more transportation related and brokering related, and so are these codes. So, right? So what does this word stand for? What does NAICS stand for? NAICS, North American Industry Classification System. I'll put that in the chat so you'll know, right? NAICS, North American Industry Classification, because different companies are classified in the industry of what they do, right? Classification system. That's NAICS code. Somebody pronounce it NAICS, somebody pronounce it NAICS. However you pronounce it, that's what it stands for, right? So, and then the NIGP, National Institute of Government Purchasing. Remember, they're the buyers. So purchasing, buying, government, right? So let's put that there. NIGP codes, National Institute, I can spell institute, of government purchasing. Remember, you are the supplier. So supplier, I can spell that. Supplier equals you, right? Buyer or purchaser equals state or government. Am I confusing you now? Or am I explaining it in a way that you guys are getting it? Or at least you're hearing some of the terms, and I'm breaking it down a little bit for you. So if you do decide to get into this space, the government space, you will have a little bit more clarity and to be able to navigate a little bit more and understand how it works, right? Now, I could take you to another site. I could take you to the state site for the state of Virginia or the Commonwealth of Virginia. It's called EVA, which is the Electronic Virginia. Or we can look up on the government side, sam.gov. Now, when you first go to sam.gov and you're not registered, you have to set up a login.gov login, right? Login.gov login. It's a government login for a government website. Make sense? Login.gov. But I have a login. Let me see if it's still here. Sign in. Let me scroll down. Okay, yeah, I'm already there. So let me shrink this screen back so I can fill it in just a little bit more. There we go. And I'm going to open it up right there. I'm not checking the password. They're sending me a code. So for security reasons, it's called two-step authentication. They just sent a text to my phone number right there. I have to put the code in, right? Two-step authentication. This is done for security reasons. So give me a second to do that. 582-132. So 82132. So once I do that, submit it. Okay. So now I'm in the sam.gov website, the government website. Systems. Oh, I didn't write that. I didn't put that down as well for you. Sam.gov. I put down that, but I didn't put what SAM stood for, right? System, I spell it like for awards management. That's what it stands for. You can easily look this stuff up, right? I know you're hearing me just spit it off the top of my head. I mean, when you do stuff a lot, it comes second nature, right? But you can Google it. Google what does SAM stand for, or what does this stand for, or what does that stand for, right? So, let's see. So open up another tab. Go to that tab. Yeah, but so I'm logged in right now. I'm logged into sam.gov, and when you first logged in, you get a desktop and what's called a dashboard. But another word that they use for dashboard is called your workspace, right? It's your workspace. You have any pending requests, any notifications? I have zero. I haven't been on here in a while, and all your entity information, right? You can do searches. So I'm all in here now. Let me. I'm just checking to see if there's any comments before I go back to the screen. Let me go back up to here and right here. So we're in the workspace. You can do searches for anything in your workspace, all types of stuff, right? And I got 2 pending assignment, 1 active registration, 2 pending ID assignment. I guess I got to renew some stuff before it expires. I got to get in here. I'll look at that later. I don't want to take up too much of your time by looking at that. But I'm going to log out of here and go into the state side so I can show you. Okay, I'm logged out. EVA. EVA, eva.virginia.gov. EVA is the state side of procurement, right? So if you notice here, yes, you're welcome, Dwayne. He said, thank you for giving the starting point. This is information overwhelming, but after a while. So, Dwayne, you started this. You asked a question about government. I'm just breaking it down, just give you a high level overview, right? So the purpose of here was to Q&A. So I'm giving a high level overview. So EVA is the Virginia marketplace, the state level. So to deal with state solicitations and contracts, you would need a there's different socioeconomic certifications that you should apply for to put you at the top of the list for consideration for procurement of government and state freight. Okay, I'll say it again. There are certain what we call socioeconomic certifications that you should apply for that will put you at the top of the list when you are bidding or going out to solicitations for RFPs, RFQs, RFIs, quick quotes, any type of solicitations and quotes and bids for the government or the state. These The first socioeconomic certification is called SWAM. Have you heard of it? Right? I think it's single women and minority, right? Single women owned and minority. Now, I have a SWAM certification because I am a minority business, right? Another one is called MBE. Are you guys familiar with these? Minority Business Enterprise. Another one is called DBE. Yes, it is also on, I believe it's on FMCSA. FMCSA is the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration's website. DBE is disadvantaged business enterprise. So once you get these certifications, you need to place them on your capability statement. And you need to put your capability statement on your website and put a link for that, because qualifying fact one of the qualifying factors is the government needs to be able to access your capability statement through your website if you are a legitimate business. Okay, so that's what they say. That's what they request, I should say. So your capabilities on your capability statement, which I didn't put on mine yet, I should have. I'm glad I'm looking at this, because I need to put down my SWAM certification, my SWAM information, so that you guys can see it. And it should go under company data, SWAM certified with the number and all that stuff. But I do have a SWAM certification. I can bring it up on the screen, but for the sake of time, we'll do that. So Dwayne, does this help, or do I need to go further? In taking your class, Yvonne asks, in taking your class, do you still, Dwayne says, awful. Yvonne, you asked, I think, half a question. In taking your class, do I still what? Offer website help. We do offer website support on our website under services. If you have a website that's hosted by Wix, we do have a Wix design support thing going on here. Obviously, that's me. And then we have our Wix, and I can put a link for that in here as well. So, but I offer the web support specifically if it's a Wix hosted web domain. I'm very versed in that. If it's a GoDaddy or Bluehost or any other domain, I'm not as versed, but I can still help. Okay. So, oh man, we've been here an hour and 13 minutes. So, yep, I'm offering mentorship. I'm offering, if you're not one of our students, I'm offering to enroll in the dispatcher training here. $399, 90-day self-paced course. We're getting ready to announce for the 4th of July, we're having 25% off of the $399. And here's some of our other products we offer, other products. Right now, we're doing a live Q&A right now with Charles, literally. But this is something that's different from what I'm doing right now, right? Dispatcher mentorship. We have video testimony. If you want to hear from others who have taken the program to kind of give you a nudge in deciding, that's that. And then we do have the Wix design. So ebooks, training. If you don't need our live Zooms, if you just want some training materials, we have a host of training materials we offer. So there's a lot of ways to come in. So, all right. Any final questions? I want to make sure I don't want to keep you guys too long. That was a great question, though, Dwayne, about the government contracts, how to get government contracts, how to procure government freight. So you open that box up. Are we good? Everybody's good? I know LaDonna's good. Yvonne sounds like she's good. Said thank you for that. Dwayne, we have others up here too. So before I get off, are there any other questions? I want to make sure. Going once, I sound like an auctioneer. Going once, going twice. You know, I see there's 6 people that are in now. There's 9 thumbs up, but there's 6 people in here. So there's a few others who are probably just listening, but may not have a question, but they'll go back and watch this live and get the answers that they probably need. Okay. So I started this with dispatching, freight brokering, trucking. Then we got into intermodal and drayage and the different modes of transportation. Seeing if you had a question there. Then we got into what Yvonne. She's taking a course. Matter of fact, Yvonne, email me if you still have it. I'm sure you do. Your syllabus of what you're taking for supply chain management. I would want to kind of shadow that with you, if you don't mind. I want to be a fly on the wall and see what your course curriculum consists of and how I can mirror that in what we're doing here over at Exodus. If that's if it's a conflict, then don't do it. But if you don't mind, if you can, email me your course curriculum. I want to take a look at that. I can probably look up one, but I just want to see, what they offer. What are they offering you? It's a course curriculum for supply chain management. And then also with that, will you have a position? Well, I guess that's hard to say with a bachelor's degree in supply chain management. You don't have it yet. So I don't know how long. Did you just start the course or you're like a couple of years in? Because I'm thinking like when you have a position available to you, I can't see them guaranteeing hiring anybody that comes out with a degree, but any day is possible. So we talked about that, supply chain management. And then we just got into government as it relates to transportation and logistics. So there's another thing with the military, DLA. I forgot about that. Defense Logistics Agency. That's another pivot point, if you will. If you're not having success in one area of logistics and transportation, you can pivot to another area. So, and then try to stay current with what's going on in the transportation space. Like subscribe to different publications. So, yeah. So you went to RNL to ask if I can volunteer, but they weren't open to see. So it's fine. So what Yvonne is taking, let's go to Google and supply chain management. Right? So supply chain management is the oversight of the entire production flow of a good or service from raw materials to delivery to the customer and what's all in between. She is on the logistics segment of that, right? So from raw materials, let's say a farmer made some potatoes and then it's gonna be shipped to a production plant to be made into French fries. Let's say Orida, right? And then once Orida finish their products, they have to be transported to the stores, right? So that's the logistics and the transportation segment. So you got the raw materials, you got procurement, you got all these other. Matter of fact, let's go to the other segment. What are the supply chain like levels, right? What are the levels of supply chain? You can go to Chat GPT or anything like that and utilize that as well. So right here, you got demand, supply and demand forecasting, because you got to see what the industry is dictating for you in the supply chain. So predicting future demands for the product in order to determine if you ship raw materials and you procure those products. So that's the demand forecast. I'm sure you got this in your curriculum. They probably start off with this. Production planning, if you do have a demand for a product, then how you're going to produce that product. Production planning, how's it going to be made? Determine how much product to produce and when, right? So, and then you have inventory management, deciding how much inventory to keep on hand, right? Once you make the product, how much inventory, your inventory is determined by how much the demand of that product is. You don't want to have too much inventory in your warehouse or too little inventory in your warehouse, because you have to find that sweet spot. So too much inventory is going to get into costs and overhead and materials being left. You might have to sell off some goods, right? Too little inventory means you got to go back to your raw material supplier and have some more shipments shipped in so you can make more product to meet the demand in the supply chain, right? And then this is where Yvonne is at right now. She's in this transportation planning segment of the supply chain, determining once the goods are made and inventory is available for those goods to produce a truckload to be shipped to a customer. She is in the segment of logistics and transportation, where how to transport the products from one location to another, from the shipping location, the finished product location, to its customer that ordered it, right? That's the segment she's in. And then sourcing, selecting and managing the suppliers. So this is the supply chain, right? So you have the strategic level, tactical level, and operational level. Now let's go to a source I like to use a lot, Chat GPT, right? And do the same thing. What are the levels of supply chain management? And let the computer do it for you. Let the AI technology do it for you, right? And boom, here it goes. And all you have to do now is just copy and paste. You see? And it did the same thing: strategic level, tactical level, operational level. So, and here's a summary table. So Yvonne is going to be studying this over the course of 4 years and mastering it and getting a degree in this. She's going to get a degree in this. You see? I'm not sure if her professors are showing her this, and when I see your syllabus or your course curriculum, I'm going to compare it to what we have here and see if they're following the same path. Okay. But Chat GPT is a good resource, guys. I used it to create recently to create a scope of work for the customer, the shipper that I'm working with. So there you go. So what's the question you think you can ask Chat GPT and an answer? Oh, here's one. Let's do this just for fun. As a freight, as in, and the more here's the key to Chat GPT. The more specific and granular you get with your questions, the better answer you'll receive from ChatGPT. Okay. ChatGPT is like Google, AI Google, basically. So, as an independent freight dispatcher, how do I get truck drivers to dispatch for? And here we go. Here's an answer. Where's Yvonne at? There's an answer. Some answers how you get the truck driver. As an independent freight dispatcher, getting truck drivers to dispatch for involves a mix of networking, outreach, branding your company. Outreach, obviously, you know what that means. You got to get out there. Networking, talking to people, like-minded people in the same industry. Branding your product or your service as a company, and offering value. What rate are you offering? What's the best value you're going to offer? There's your answer. Part of it, anyway. Here's a step-by-step guide on how to find and sign up drivers, owner-operators, or small fleet owners to work with you. Okay, I may paste this in the back office for our dispatchers. Number one, identify your target truckers. Okay, who do you want to focus on? Right? Who do you want to focus on? Owner operators, independent drivers who own their trucks? I would say yes, the first one, because you're not ready to do small fleets, 1 to 10 trucks, because you haven't gotten used to doing one truck yet. And then what truck types? Who talks about this in class all the time? Who tells you to focus on the 3 major equipment types? Dry van, flatbed, or reefer. Well, here we go. Truck type specialization. Right? Chat GPT, yes. She says awesomeness. Yeah, I'll paste the link right here in the chat. So number one, we focus on owner operators, independent drivers with their own trucks. Now, what types of trucks? The special dry van, reefers, and flatbeds. They mentioned hotshot here too, but the top 3 are right there. Dry van, reefer, and flatbed. There you go. Now, number 2, build a solid offer for the truckers. Truckers want to know what value you bring. Okay, that's a great point. Well, what value do you bring? Right? Yvonne said, this is good. Yeah, this is good, right? This is good information. What value do you bring, right? Well, competitive dispatching fee. What do we, so in our training, what numbers do we say? Do we not say between 5 to 10% of the gross? Chat GPT is saying exactly what we teach in the course. Between 5 to 10% gross. Good paying loads from quality brokers or direct shippers. Duh. Right? Duh. 24/7 support or available when needed. Right? Well, you got to sleep. So 24/7 means that at least your phone's going to be on vibrate or something. You got to sleep at least 6 to 8 hours, but you get the point. Right? Back office help. Yep. You may add that as a service. Paperwork, detention, lumper reimbursements. Well, you're going to help your driver with that anyway. When you're dealing with the broker and, you got to get detention or you got to get lumper reimbursements and you got to help them with their paperwork as far as the rate confirmations, maybe help them with invoicing, maybe, right? You may offer that as a service, right? So what is your solid offer? Or another word for solid offer, what is your service? And then route preferences. Okay, we call that route planning, right? Route planning, route preferences. We call that route planning. So do you want to do regional or does the carrier want to do regional, which is like tri-state, 3 states, over the road, home time, needs, all those factors. Where do we get, in our course, where do we get route preferences from? We get it from our carrier profile that we send to the driver when we are first setting them up for our dispatch service. right? That's where we get it from. That's what we call it a carrier. So everything that Chat GPT is talking about, Dispatcher one-on-one training for beginners puts it in a different way, but it's the same concept. I think they stole this from me. I'm about to sue Chat GPT. I'm about to get on their case. And then next, rate negotiation and lane consistency. Now, this is getting eerily scary. They're talking about the exact same things that we go over in the course. We negotiate the rates and we try to keep consistent lanes. Because I always tell you guys, if you get a broker for a certain equipment type in a certain lane, and you're running that one carrier in that lane, why not get another carrier of the same equipment type and put them in the same lane as that first carrier under that same broker? That first carrier is making money, right? So uh, some of this is common sense, but it's not, right? So this is all number two. So you guys build. So number one was identify your target truckers, obviously. Number two, build a solid offer for the truckers. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy this. Let's see how many there are. 5, 6, 7, boom, 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 boom. Here's a script. But they got everything. So I'm gonna copy this, all of this. To my clipboard. And then I'm gonna open up a Word document in the background while we're and paste it and save it because I'm going to put it in my uh, back office as another means for the students to have as extra support, right? I'm going to paste it. And yes. Okay. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to save it to my desktop. I'm doing some stuff in the background, excuse me. I'm going to call it as a freight dispatcher. Okay. All right. So now I'll get out of that and come back to this. So he says, Charles, I have a $75 fall off fee. Is that too little or too much? I do evaluate every fall off. Now, what do you mean by fall off? You mean if you're working with a carrier and you're dispatching for them and then they just ghost you or leave all of a sudden? Define what you mean by fall off. Dwayne. And while you're doing that, I'll go back to where are we? Number 3, right? Number 3, create a professional presence. So set yourself apart. So basically, this is marketing and branding, right? So set yourself apart. Company name, logo, website, even a basic site works. Business email or phone number, social media presence. This is for your dispatch company. Facebook group, Instagram, LinkedIn. All of this helps, right? Online review or testimonials. Even 1 or 2 works, right? Even 1 or 2 help. So that's number 3. Number 4, you got to promote. So not only do you market and brand it, but you got to get out there, right? Promote your services. Here's where to find drivers. Okay, they're telling you. Facebook groups. Yes, there are Facebook groups. Truckers United, owner operators looking for groups like owner operator. So there's a group called owner operator looking for dispatch or truckers and dispatch connect, etc. Post your services regularly. Don't spam and engage in comments and offer advice. So is there a group called owner operator looking for dispatch? I need to know that. Somebody look that up for me. Oh, okay. If they take a load, I have secured everything. Then they decide they don't want the load. Yeah, if you want to do that, put that in your dispatcher agreement, Dwayne, that you have a $75, I would say $50, maybe even $25 fall off fee. If they fall off the load, they still owe you something because of your time. $75 may be too much. Maybe $50 could be the cap. Okay. Someone go to Facebook I don't want to do it because I don't want to go off this screen, but someone go to Facebook and type in the search owner operator for groups, owner operator looking for dispatch. If that's a group, I didn't realize that. I'll join that group, right? So this is how you get load boards and forums. So truckers report, DAT forums, CDL life. Engage in threads, offer your contact information, and pitch your services. Truckers report, DAT forms, and CDL life. Okay. Cold calling and direct outreach. Okay. Buy, or I wouldn't suggest buying, but buy or build a list of MC numbers from the FMCSA's database. Now, with that, they're referring to the FMCSA's database. They're referring to the register or the registry of the FMCSA. You would have to know how to properly identify and look for those new MC authorities in order to vet and call those particular carriers, direct outreach. Use services like Carrier 411. It's hard to get Carrier 411 if you don't have an MC. Same thing holds true for Safer Watch. To filter by new carrier or those with 1 to 5 trucks. These are great services, but as a dispatcher, you may not have. You may be able to get a trial version of it from these companies to see, right? Call or email and pitch briefly. And here's a little script. Hi, I am Charles, a dispatcher helping small carriers like yours keep wheels turning and maximize profits. Are you looking for someone to handle load finding and negotiation? Not bad. Does yours sound like that, Yvonne? They say there is on Facebook. Okay, so there is an owner operator looking for dispatch group. I have to go look at that. Website and landing page. Create a simple lead capture form so a lead capture form is if you send them a link to your website, it's going to go to the page, let's say the landing page, and it'll have some lead capturing information, basically asking them to sign up the form with their MC, DOT number, equipment name, and preferences, and then maybe a link to some videos, testimonials or proof of results. Okay. So is this not number 4? Is it not good information for number 4 to promote your services? I may go over this in my next dispatch training to help bring home the point with my students. Number 5, offer a trial period or a first load for free. Now, I suggest that sometimes. Yep. I say, dispatcher, are you under a load or need a load? Learned it from you. Okay, yeah. Yep. Are you under a load or looking for a load? Right? So under a load means that they're loaded, about to deliver. Looking for a load means that they're empty and they are available for freight if they want to take it. They may be resting, doing their reset hours or whatever. So number 5, offer a trial period or a first load free. Many truckers hesitate to commit. Ease the tension with what? The first load free. No fee on the dispatch. Or 1 week trial at a discount rate. That's another suggestion. That's great. So one of these two, they're going to bite, right? They're going to bite one of the two for a whole week at a discount rate or 1 load free. If I were a trucker, I'd do the whole week for a discount rate because I want to see how you dispatch for me over time. That one, you may just get lucky that 1 load. You may have found something and you lucked up. You get it to me for free. That's fine. But then when I sign up with you, you may not be able to find me no loads more. But that 1 week, I'll be able to see, systemic progress or lack of progress for that matter. So if it were me, I would go with the second option if I were a carrier looking for a dispatcher. All right. Number 6, get a dispatcher carrier agreement. Gee, what does that sound like? They are still in my stuff. Chat GPT, I'm about to sue the heck out of you guys. Chat GPT has stolen ELLC's information. So once they say yes, have them sign a dispatcher agreement to include your percentage, check, Payment process, invoice terms, check. Their equipment, lanes, insurance information, check. That's the carrier profile. That's not necessarily the dispatcher agreement. That's a separate document called the carrier profile. It's included in the dispatcher packet, right? And then power of attorney. Where the heck they get that from? Now we call it limited power of attorney, but power of attorney to book loads on their behalf. Someone at ChatGPT has stolen my business model. Can you imagine that? That is crazy. But anyway, but apparently it works. If you got an AI technology like ChatGPT utilizing it, so get the agreement, get them under a contract, and then here's some bonus stuff. Bonus tip: build broker relationships too. Of course, how you would not be a great dispatcher if you do not build relationships with brokers, right? Having good load sources, 3PLs, freight brokers, helps attract truckers. Exactly. Consider building direct relationships with freight brokers. Duh, right? Getting access to load boards like that, truck stop, and direct freight. Duh. That's what we offer in our trainings. We give you access to about 4 or 5 load boards as part of the enrollment of our training. So for those listening on the YouTube channel live right now, we offer the service. In addition to how to use these tools, right? And different strategies in using them. So, and then here's an example pitch or script, either a phone or direct message. Hey, I work with independent truckers like yourself to keep your truck moving with good paying loads. I take care of all the paperwork, negotiations, and route planning so you can focus on driving. Would you be open to trying a load with me this week? Not a bad script. And then this is just ChatGPT asking, would you like a template of a dispatch agreement? It's probably my template. I'm gonna say yes. See what they're saying, right? I'm gonna say yes to that. See what they're saying. What would you like a template for a dispatcher carrier agreement to help create a simple landing page to get truckers to sign up? Yep, I would. So I'm gonna see what they do just to see what they say. But anyway, how was that? Was that helpful from the dispatcher's perspective? That question that we asked, and this was supply chain, right? First we went to supply chain, and then we went to the here it is as an independent dispatcher, right? What about brokering? What about the brokering piece? Let's switch that up. So let's copy this and put that in there, and Chat GPT, and let's change it to a broker side. As a freight broker, how do I get shippers? Right? How do I get shippers to broker for? Right, does that sound like a question for the freight broker? Is that a good way to ask ChatGPT? As a freight broker, how do I get shippers to broker for? And then hit enter and see what they say. Look at that. So not only are we helping the dispatchers here with ChatGPT, we're leveraging AI technology to do the brokering piece right too, right? So where's it at? Right here. Okay. And I'm gonna copy the broker. Look at all this stuff for the broker piece. And they're still going on. Look at this. They're still doing it. So I'm gonna wait till they're done, and then I'll copy it and add it to that Word document that I had. So how far down? Number 5, number 6, number 7, bonus tips. And then would you like a script? So I'm going to take this and go back up. Right here. Copy it. Go to my Word document. And I'm going to go to a new one. New Word document. I'm just in the background, guys. Give me 1 second. And I'll save this one as a broker. It's like I say the other one as a dispatcher. So, and I'll close that. So I got two. So now, if you are interested in the broker piece, right? I didn't realize I'm going to be here for this long, but this is this good information? Do I continue with the broker piece, or you guys got enough information for one Q&A session? You guys tell me. I'll wait for your response. And we'll go from there, right? Do we continue or do we stop here? Up to you guys. I'm just curious. I'm going to look through why you guys decided. I want to, because I haven't seen you guys type anything in the chat yet. So, but as a freight broker, getting shippers, manufacturers, distributors, importers, exporters to work with you is crucial. But it takes focused strategy, persistence, and professionalism. Here's a step-by-step guide to help you find and sign shippers to broker freight for. So do we continue? Yes or no? Are you guys interested in knowing if you are entertaining the freight broker side? We just went thoroughly on the dispatcher side. Are you interested in the freight broker side? So let me type something in here. Because are you guys still with me? Type a one in the chat if you can hear me, because I don't know if I lost you guys or not. Because I'm still running. The recording is still live. So and make sure I didn't lose you. Oh, okay, yes. So, all right. So step one, know what you're offering. Now, this is, so we were talking about dispatching earlier. Know what you're offering as a broker, right? What are you offering? Before reaching out, make sure you're clear on what value you bring to a shipper. Great point. Access to reliable vetted carriers. As a broker, you need to vet your carriers. What does that mean, vetting your carriers, right? Qualifying them, onboarding them, making sure that they are who they say they are, right? So, yes. Faster freight coverage, especially the tough lane. So, faster freight coverage means if your shipper wants to load moved, you get it moved as quick as possible with your vetted carriers and take care of that, right? Help with seasonal surges or overflows, right? Those special situations. If you got a customer that falls under that category, that has seasonal surges where they got to get a lot of freight out at one time during a specific season, or overflow of inventory, you have the capacity or the network of trucks to assist them, right? Cost-effective negotiated rate. So you are a 3PL, a broker, third-party logistics, 3PL. Did I put that in the chat, right? 3PL stands for third party logistics or freight broker. Okay, so real-time tracking, visibility, and communication. Yes, you want to have a line of communication, a straight line between the customer that you got the loads from, procured them from, and the carriers who you are having transport that load. Definitely, that is important. You never want to cut those lines of communication off. You will not be brokering very long. Just so you know, phone call, email, check calls, uh, tracking systems like MacroPoint, Four Kites, different ones, the ELD. So, electronic logging devices, by the way, in case you know. Back office support like invoicing, POD retrieval, claims handling. Because as a broker, you're gonna incur these things. You're gonna incur invoicing a lot because that's how you get paid, either directly from the shipper, the customer, or through your factoring company as a broker. Okay, and then POD retrieval. How do you retrieve the PODs or the proof of deliveries from the carriers once that freight is delivered to the consignee or the receiver? Do you do it electronically? Is it uploaded in a text? Is it uploaded in software? How do you retrieve it? You got to know what you're offering, right? You could take this AI and put it in a workflow or some kind of script when you present to the shipper and let them know what you're offering in order to get the shipper. And then claims handling. When a claim is filed against your brokerage, against the bond of your brokerage, how do you handle that? Do you have a whole department that handles that, or do you handle that in-house? How does that handle? So you got to know what you're offering, right? So, and the reason why you want to know what you're offering is because shippers want fewer headaches and better results. That is the whole purpose of hiring a 3PL, to take the headache away from the shipper, the customers. They don't have time to deal directly with, well, some of them do not have the time to deal directly with trucking companies. So they'll hire an intermediary or a third party logistics provider, a broker, you, to handle all of that stuff and take the weight off of their shoulders. Okay, number one, right? Number two, build a strong professional foundation. This is a freight broker, right? So you need to be credible and easy to trust as a broker. Just do the right thing. Just do the right thing, right? Um, so you must have, these are must haves, right? If you are a broker, you got to have an authority. You got to have a broker authority or a broker license. You got to have bond and insurance. Those are minimal requirements. If you don't have these, you're not a broker. Simple as that, right? You cannot arrange for the transportation of freight if you do not meet this first bullet point. You don't have a broker authority, bond, or insurance. You can't. No shipper is going to look at you seriously. No, well, I'll do you one better. No shipper is going to look at you at all. Why would I give you my freight if you don't have the authority to arrange for my freight to be transported by a authorized motor carrier? Right? So, company name. Now, must have company name, logo, business, email, phone. This is just to look professional. Website, professional landing page. This one and this one is not a requirement. The first one is, but it's good to have them. These other two bullet points. This one too. This fourth one. LinkedIn profile and possibly a business page. That'd be great to have. It just makes you stand out. Professional foundation. That was the whole point. Number two. Company capability statement or service flyer, PDF or link. Okay. So, strong professional foundation. Okay. Number three, identify ideal shipper profiles. Okay. Start with manageable niches or specialty markets and build from there, right? So, niches equals riches. How do you obtain the bond? That's a great question, Dwayne. You have a bond company that you look up, different bond companies, but the bond types, surety bond and a trust fund, BMC 84 and BMC 85, either based off of your credit or based off of assets, escrow, right? But a bond is required in the amount of $75,000. You don't pay $75,000. It's like insurance. You pay a premium annually one time to have the $75,000 coverage. Based off of your credit, the better your credit score, the lower the premium. For example, if you have 700 credit score, you may have a bond $75,000 premium cost of like $950 or $900. So you pay that one time, once a year, $900, and you'll have for the year a bond covering you for $75,000, right? So now you just simply look up different bond companies and see who gives you the best rates. They're going to qualify you based off of their requirements, certain things that you have to meet in order to get a bond, right? So, yep. All right, Yvonne. Yvonne says she has to log out. All right. So the different niches: produce requires reefers and urgent deliveries, lumber, steel, retail and commercial goods, freight overflow, like big companies that need backup options. Use directories or databases to identify leads. Right. Tools to find shippers. Here we go. Import Genius. Okay, that one I didn't know. I might have to look that one up. Import Genius and Panjiva. This is the import export data. That's probably Dredge. Reference USA. This is a free library. Search by industry and location. I had to put that one in my back office. ThomasNet we have. Compass and Yellow Pages. I do not. I had to put that in there. LinkedIn Sales Navigator. I do have that. That's great for business, B2B, business to business outreach. Local Chamber of Commerce. I do have that. I have the National Chamber of Commerce in my website and in trade shows. So you're welcome. Do smart, number 4, do smart outreach. Smart outreach. Use multi-channel outreach, phone, email, LinkedIn, and even in person if local, like cold calling. Focus on the shipping or logistics managers when you cold call, basically getting past the gatekeeper and asking for that type of person. Short and professional pitch. Focus on their pain points and then offer solutions. That's the whole method and methodology of getting shippers, right? Focus on their pain points. How do you know their pain points? Go to their website, talk to someone, see what they ship, what could be a possible pain point that'll prevent them from getting their shipments to their destination. Could be delay in send, could be traffic, weather, season, and then offer solutions. Be ready for rejection, but stay consistent. Yeah, you are going to get more no's than you are yeses. That is a fact. Okay? And then here's an example pitch. Hi, my name is Charles with the Exodus Freight Brokerage, a licensed freight brokerage, right? We help shippers like you find reliable carriers and reduce freight costs. That's a good point right there. Reduce, they love to hear that. Reduce freight costs because you're saving them money. Good script, right? I want to see if I can help with any overflow or hard to cover lanes. Do you ever need backup options for your current freight? This is a great pitch. Do you agree? It's a great pitch. Straight and to the point. 2 sentences, right? 3 sentences. 1, 2, 3. You didn't put them to sleep. Less than 30 seconds. So that's cold calling. Email outreach. Some shippers look at their email. They'd rather not have a call. They'd rather look at their email. Keep it short, personalized, and value-driven, obviously. Use a clean email signature and company branding. And here's a sample company email or code email, right? Right there. Subject, freight support for whatever the company is. Hi, my name is blah, blah, blah. I'm a freight broker with a company helping businesses like yours find fast and reliable truckload capacity. I specialize in and in whatever that industry or commodity is, right? I'd love to connect to see if we can support your team with overflow or dedicated freight. Are you open to a quick call this week? And then best wishes, your name, phone number, and website. That is a good script. I may take that. Since Chat GPT is taking stuff from me, I'm going to take stuff from Chat GPT. And then we'll call it even. Right? So, LinkedIn messaging. You may not have a LinkedIn profile, so we can either connect with logistics and plant managers, start a genuine connection request, and not a sales pitch. So if you have a LinkedIn account, specifically LinkedIn Premium, which offers Sales Navigator, then you'll be in there with that. Okay. And then we got other points. Number 5, offer a free or trial load. Deliver big on your first few loads, basically with quality customer service with you and the carrier. And here's right here, the first bullet point. Use reliable, insured, and qualified carriers. How else will you deliver big on your first few loads? You have to have a carrier who helps you do that, right? That's an important piece to brokering. The carriers, because that's the person who's picking up the freight. You're just, as a broker, you're just arranging for that to happen. They're actually doing the transporting. So you have to make sure you have good, reliable carriers. Over communicate, status updates, ETA issues. So ETAs and issues, right? Send clean BOLs, PODs, and invoice properly. What is a clean BOL? A clean BOL is one. Well, first of all, what is a BOL and what is a POD? A BOL is a bill of lading. That is the manifest of the goods when you go to pick the goods up, and your carrier goes to pick the goods up, right? And at the warehouse at the shipping facility, and the trailer is loaded by the shipping manager's team on the forklift or however they load it. The bill of lading itemizes pallet count, piece count, what the commodity is, things like that. Okay, that is the BOL, and it's signed at the shipper. There's no discrepancies. There's no damaged freight. The piece count is right. The pallet count is right. Right. Lock the doors. Put the seal on. Transport it to the receiver. Gets to the receiver. Gets offloaded. Everything's clean. No damage. No overs. No shorts. No damages. That is a clean BOL. Doesn't have no OS and Ds, overs, shorts, or damages. That's a clean BOL. Right. PODs, once the receiver receives the freight and signs the BOL indicating that they've taken possession of the freight, that BOL turns into a POD, proof of delivery. Okay. Fix problems fast. Shippers remember how you handle issues. So that's number 6. And then number 7, you definitely want to do this after you've shown value. You want to ask for more freight, more dedicated, consistent freight. So ask for ongoing freight, dedicated lanes, in other words. After 2 to 3 successful loads, right, you want to prove yourself. Ask for consistent freight, negotiate volume or contract opportunities, right, to build a long-term relationship, right? So making sense, right? Making sense. And then we have bonus tips. Start local. Shippers are more likely to work with someone nearby. That's correct, because they have their hands on them. They can see them. They can call them in. Attend freight or manufacturing trade shows. Look them up in your area and see if there's available. And if there's a cost to it or if it's free, go attend them. Partner with other brokers or agents to share leads and capacity. So there you have it, right? We'll end it for now. It's like 2 hours and 4 minutes, so that's been more than enough time. Glad you guys were able to tune in, get some Q&A questions answered, and then we pretty much had a course, if you will, training live so everybody can see it and go from there. If you or someone you know is interested in getting more detailed training that we offer, more than what you experienced today on this live, you can consider joining our live or our trainings for dispatcher and freight broker, right? That we offer 90-day self-paced trainings for the dispatcher side. I'll show you the example of what our back portal looks like when you do join our 90-day course. Look at all the information that's at your disposal, as well as our freight broker 90-day course that you will have access with an email and password set up, all the data that you will have access to in our freight broker side. Okay. So that's what we offer. 90 days, self-paced training. Our Zooms for the dispatcher side are every second and fourth week, Sundays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. Sundays at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Saturdays at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. Our Zoom meetings for our freight broker side are every second and fourth week also, but they are Tuesdays and Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so yeah, consider it. I mean, it will offer, and then next month, July, we're announcing, I'll announce it here officially, but we're having 25% off. I'll put it in our website and have it on our products menu with a 25% off on the ongoing trainings right here, as well as the freight broker's product menu right here. Okay. So, and then of course, we offer mentorship, freight broker mentorship, as well as dispatcher mentorship. So there's just so many ways to come within. So again, I want to thank you guys for coming in today. Again, if you or someone you know is looking to get into logistics, the supply chain, transportation, brokering, trucking, dispatching, uh, intermodal, everything we talked about today, we have a footprint within, right? We're more concentrated in the dispatcher, brokering, and in trucking piece, but we have a footprint in the others, right? So we're more dedicated in dispatching and brokering, but we can help you. Okay, we have a network, uh, mentorship, or direct self-paced training. So I can be reached at area code 757-515-1684 or 757-695-9565. My email, Exodus Logistics LLC at yahoo.com or info at Exodus Dispatching and Training.com. The website, www.exodusdispatchingandtraining.com. Okay, so those are the different handles for in order to get a hold of me. So I salute everyone. Look forward to having you guys join us. What you've seen today in this live for this past 2 hours, it's a microcosm of what you will experience if you decide to go through the training. I can guarantee that. So hopefully I hear from you and talk to you later.